Today, I'm going to try to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon SoulSilver with only Steel-type Pokemon. Now, there are some very strong Steel-type Pokemon out there, but that's not to say that Steel doesn't have its own weaknesses, as overall, Steel-type Pokemon have very low HP and speed, and aren't fantastic in the special stats either. Added to that is the fact that on the face of it, SoulSilver doesn't have too many encounters available to us, but there are some mystery encounters that will become available if we take the right steps, so watch out for those. Let's see if we can beat Pokemon SoulSilver with only the first Steel type that we find on each route, no items in battle, level caps in place, and the battle mode on set at all times. But before that, the game to end all games has arrived, Hyper Fever. And this game has it all. You can build your own character from preset options in this real-time card strategy MMO that lets you play offline, online. Rated the best FPS city builder with bubble-popping roleplay as you engage in casual, hardcore battle royale with even the ability to level up if your friends can find objects that you've lost at home. Hyper Fever has it all. Alright, just kidding. It's time for Raid Shadow Legends, the real sponsor of today's video. As a free-to-play, turn-based battle RPG, what better new adventure to get into for us Pokemon fans? Intense strategy to defeat wicked bosses, over 700 champions to collect and customize to take on specific challenges, and multiple game modes like the Doom Tower, PvP Arena, and Dungeons. I mean, there's really nothing more one could ask from a game. And this April, Raid is going on an egg hunt, but not for normal eggs. We're hunting dragon eggs. Just download Raid using the links below, copy your in-game player ID, and then head over to egghunt.plarium.com until May 15th. Enter your player ID and then journey through the flaming portal to embark on an exciting AR adventure. Scour the dragon's lair using your phone, and if you find the hidden egg, you'll be in for a chance to win amazing in-game items and even real-life prizes, from legendary Raid champions to Amazon gift cards with a total value of $20,000. Existing Raid players can join in on the fun too. Go to egghunt.plarium.com and you'll find a special promo code that everyone can use to earn a small gift in-game. If you haven't tried Raid yet, there's no better time to start. New players, use my link or scan the QR code right here and get a free starter pack with this cool in-game loot. And I'll see you in Teleria. Alright, here we go, Pokemon SoulSilver. Boy, I sure do wish these remakes were as good as BDSP. Wait, you overslept? Oh, hello, Professor Oak. Wasn't expecting to see you in Johto. Aren't you the same guy who got irritated with Ash for oversleeping? Speaking of which, rest in pepperoni to our boy who got kicked out of his own anime. I'll miss you, buddy. The Wii is huge in Johto, too. I miss those days. Shout out Mario Kart Wii. It's time to pick our starter, and as it turns out, I'm gonna go for Chikorita so that our rival gets Cyndaquil, as fire will definitely be our greatest challenge. Alright, I think I know why not many people pick Chikorita. Bro, you kinda look weird on the overworld, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, excuse me, but what in the cinnamon toast is that hairstyle, my guy? Just because of that, I pound this man into the ground with the good old box me, as he thankfully doesn't have a fire move yet. Ah, yes, officer. Black jacket, and his hair was all cinnamon toast f***y. Getting our civic duty out of the way, Lyra gives us some Pokeballs, meaning our run has officially begun. But where do we get our first Steel encounter? Good question. In reality, it's the Pokewalker using a special event called the Winter's Path, which can net us a Beldum, which I nicknamed Judah. Judah ends up having a gentle nature, giving him plus special defense and minus defense stats, and that's actually better than I could have dreamed of for one particular reason. And he has a Shuka Berry attached to weaken ground moves. Cool. And with that, Chikorita got his wish after all, living the rest of eternity in our PC. In no time we get to Violet City, the location of the first gym. Before anything, we have to take on the Sprout Tower, and although I'm very grateful this place is filled to the brim with Bellsprouts which dish out attack EVs, we do have to watch our XP as we only have one Mon, and overleveling past the cap is a very real worry. At the top of the tower stands the Elder, our last challenge before the gym, and Judah performs amazingly here. Not only do we have incredible moves like same type attack bonus or stab super effective Zen Headbutt against his Bellsprouts, but we also resist normal and flying moves from Hoot Hoot, and flinched it on our first attack so he couldn't put us to sleep, being able to take him down in 2 hits. I think that's the first time we haven't taken any damage from that guy. I'll take it. It's time for the Violet City Gym, and being able to skip all the trainers is a real treat as we arrive for our first gym leader, Faulkner the Flying Expert. I'm coming into this battle a little low in terms of levels, but again, we've got to watch out for the level cap moving forward with only one Pokemon. He leads with a Pidgey, and the amazing thing here is that normally he sand attacks you into oblivion, but Judah is built to take him on as he has the clear body ability, meaning our stats cannot be lowered, not even accuracy, so after a few resisted tackles, we smash that thing back to the ground with a couple of Zen Headbutts. In comes his ace next, Pidgeotto. After taking one tackle, we hit a crit Zen Headbutt, but then he uses Roost to heal up. And we miss our next one. Oof. Gus does a decent chunk on us before we don't bring him to half with our next one, but in the end we're left on 8 HP as I go for the higher accuracy Iron Head to finish him off, knowing that we had the range. First badge acquired. Picking up the Rock Smash HM on Route 36, we can then head south to the Ruins of Alph to do one of my favorite things, hunt for colored shards in the rocks. And, ignore that I accidentally named our HM HM Gween. I meant Queen, but apparently mistyped and I died inside when I saw this. Hitting up the Shard to Berry guy, we can trade our shards for essentially unlimited amazing berries like cherry, orange, and even citrus ones right after the first badge. Moving on, I realized that the Magnetrain line actually extends out to Route 32 here, and I don't think I took this into account before. Nice touch. Thank you, Sylph. You're welcome, Shigeki Morimoto. After grabbing the Shell Bell right nearby, we can hit up Union Cave, which is actually going to be the location of our next encounter. It's a 5% chance, so it takes a while, but eventually we find it, Onix, who I catch in a lure ball of all things, don't ask me why, and name her Maiden. Maiden ends up having a lonely plus attack and minus defense nature, which is not bad at all. Onix definitely needs more attack and doesn't need that much more defense, let's be real. She also has Rockhead instead of Sturdy, which is great if you know about Sturdy not working in this gen. Since she's not a Steel type yet, we can't use her, but hopefully we can fix that soon. With that, we arrive in Azalea Town where the next gym is. Before that though, we have to take a quick trip into the Slowpoke well, where not only did Kurt break his back—
What do you mean by that? Your
back is broken. Spinal.
But I realized just how good of a counter Judah is going to be against Team Rocket, resisting their normal Raticate line Pokemon, being immune to all their poison types, and having super effective moves against poison too. The Azalea gym is upon us, and thankfully with only one Pokemon in our party, we get to avoid the otherwise mandatory double battle in here and head straight for the gym leader, Bugsy, the bug expert. While preparing for this battle, I realized it all depends what move he goes for on his Scyther, as if he goes for the wrong one, or the right one for him, it's all over for us. Let's see how it goes. Right away, he goes for Focus Energy, not ideal, as I go for Iron Defense. He then uses Quick Attack, thankfully, as Iron Head then hits him for a quarter. He then U-turns, and thankfully no crit, as that would have ended us right off the bat. Okay, definitely not as bad as it could have been. In comes Metapod, which we hit just under half, and here I take the opportunity to raise our defense to the max, as this thing only has Tackle. Then I hit him low with Zen Headbutt before our berry heals us. He then heals up, and 2 more attacks do the job. In comes Scyther again, and this is fantastic. His crit rate has returned to normal since he technically switched out, so he wastes another turn with Focus Energy as we hit him below half. But again, a crit U-turn would eviscerate us immediately, as now his berry heals him. He just goes for Quick Attack again, but gets a crit. Oh no, we just have to hope and pray he for some reason uses it again, and he does, and no crit, so we hit him again, but he survives on a Sliver. Well, here we go again, as he goes for Quick Attack yet again, no crit, we survive on just 8 HP and can take him down. Oh man, his final Pokemon is Kakuna, and a single stab super effective Zen Headbutt one-hit KOs him for the victory. I think because we were low HP, the AI wasn't taking into account our defense increases and just tried to go for the kill, so in effect we unintentionally baited him into not KOing us. Too good. We also got the U-turn TM for winning, which I have a feeling will come in handy in a bit. But an even greater challenge is up ahead as Silver, our rival, battles us here. I spent forever theory crafting about this one, and just like with Bugsy, it's all going to come down to move choices as we have no surefire way to get through this. After EV training against Hoppip for special defense and Sentret for attack, let's give this a try. He leads with a Ghastly, and this thing will randomly use one of its moves, and thank God it wasn't Curse as he used Spite. But Zen Headbutt misses. No way. But then, he uses Spite again so we can smash him into oblivion. Wow, that was close. However, in comes the real threat, his newly evolved Quilava. My calcs tell me we should survive 2 embers, and they were exactly right it seems as we hit a Zen Headbutt, which seems to do just half. It all depends if he burns us here, and he doesn't. We survive on 3 HP before our berry, and our second Zen Headbutt gets the range to take him down. Goodness gracious. He still has 1 Pokemon left though, Zubat, and my worst fears come true as he confuses us and we hit ourselves in confusion. Well, it's all over as he goes for Bite, but we survive on 1 HP and make it through confusion for the KO and the win. There were a lot of things that could have gone wrong there, but we played our best card and it paid off thanks to our calcs. After grabbing the charcoal item from the weird Farfetch dudes, which we'll be able to use later, we have a key development in the Ilex Forest, as this guy is able to teach Judah Headbutt. Why is this key, you might ask? Well, just ahead on Route 34, we can use it to find our next encounter, none other than a Pineco, which I named Motley, and who has a sassy plus special defense and minus speed nature, which is actually quite perfect, and you'll see why. What's not perfect is that Pineco doesn't have the steel type yet, so we'll have to wait until he evolves to use him. Arriving in Goldenrod City has me feeling pretty okay for once as I hit up the department store drawing center to get the #1 prize, Shadow Claw. There's an even better TM that we'll come back for on a different day. After grabbing the payback TM from up north, which should be handy for our slow Pokemon, it's time to hit up the Goldenrod City gym. The gym leader here is of course Whitney, the normal specialist, and straight up a thorn in the side of Pokemon trainers around the globe. But with the Beldum on our party, I'm not feeling too bad about this. She leads with a Clefairy, and we do have to watch out as this thing has metronomed us into oblivion in the past. It all depends what move she gets really, but after we Iron-headed her below half, she just went for double slap, so I take the opportunity to use Iron Defense while we can. She then uses Metronome and gets Rest. Annoying, but kind of perfect as I can then freely max out her defense on the next 2 turns. Then, on our next Iron Head, we got the flinch as she woke up, so another got the KO. Wicked. Then, in comes the worst thing in the world, her Miltank. But with our defense maximized, we tank stomps really well. We just have to hope for no flinches or crits. It is a back and forth Iron Head and Stomp slugfest with her healing repeatedly, but after a 2-minute back and forth, she did manage to get us below half, but our berry helped out, and a final attack brought her down. Man, Judah has really been an unreal counter to some of the most commonly complained about threats, hasn't he? And not only that, but as a reward, Judah evolves into a Metang following the battle. Awesome. Whitney then tells us that the Pokeathlon is now open, which is a crucial development. Immediately hitting it up, thankfully it's a Friday, which is the only day you can get a Metal Coat prize before the National Dex. Engaging in some maddening Pokeathloning, we eventually score over 5,000 points to pick up 2 of them. Funnily enough, we could actually use more as they're not just evolutionary items, they also boost Steel-type moves too, but we'll worry about that later. Using 1 to trade evolved Maiden, she becomes a Gargantuan Steelix. And let me just say, this thing is a monster on the overworld. I don't think I've seen one like this before. The haul isn't over yet though, as I waited until early the next morning for the National Park bug catching contest on Saturday. Searching for a while nets us a Scyther, which I catch and nickname Cooper, and who has a naughty plus attack and minus special defense nature. Pretty good. Cooper also won us the bug catching contest, so hey, not a bad debut performance. Also, I don't think I've seen the nighttime National Park transition screen before. It's beautiful. In the park, we also find the Soothe Bell, but I don't think Steel types care too much about love and friendship if I'm honest. More importantly, we find the Dig TM, and don't forget it has 80 power in this game, so it's quite the score. Further travel up north brings us to Ecruteak City where the next gym is. In preparation for what's ahead, I trade evolved Scyther to net us a Scizor, a Pokemon I rarely get to use and definitely one of my all-time favorites. Before the gym, another massive challenge awaits as we have to hit up the Burned Tower. In here, Silver awaits, and I'm really hoping having more Pokemon will help us this time around. He leaves with a Ghastly again, and I change things up and lead with Cooper, and there's a reason for this. He hits a Confuse Ray right off the bat unfortunately, but we do get off the agility to raise our speed. We then hit ourselves in confusion though, and he uses Mean Look. Uh-oh. We then hit ourselves again, and he just hits a lick. We get another agility off though, and then he goes for Curse. Not good, as we're trapped in here too. Or are we? That's right, I taught Cooper U-turn and was purposefully stalling out for him to use Curse, as U-turn gets the KO and breaks us out of Mean Look simultaneously. So we can now switch in Maiden knowing we bait in Quilava. Incredible. He does hit a smokescreen, but now an 80 power stab dig from a Steelix demolishes him in one hit. Oh man, I'm pretty proud of that play. In comes Zubat, but we do have a great answer in Rock Throw, but we did miss one and then got confused, and after a while this was not going well, so I switch in Judah, then go back into Maiden to get rid of confusion, and he misses his next 55% accuracy supersonic, so one Rock Throw does the job. Why all that craziness, you might ask? Well, because his incoming Magnemite has Magnet Pull to trap Steel types, and against Judah it could have Sonic Boomed us to death, so we needed Maiden for the instant 4x damage dig KO to win the battle. Now that's what I like to see. Hitting up the Ecruteak gym, the 4th gym leader is Morty, the Ghost type specialist. And can I just say, how ridiculous is it that neither Metang nor Scizor learned Shadow Claw? What is that all about? His team is always tricky with confusion, hypnosis, paralysis, mean look, curse. It's just a nightmare. But I think I have a plan. He leads with a Ghastly as I get Cooper out there and go for agility right away. He then uses Mean Look, but I'm okay with that this time around. I then use Pursuit to immediately knock him out. In comes his Gengar next, a big threat, but after agility we outspeed and I go for Metal Claw to bring him below half before his berry. He then uses Hypnosis and hits it, but I attached a Chesto Berry which heals us. Now I go for another Metal Claw and he puts us to sleep again. Oh. Thankfully, my strat worked as he wasn't brought into healing range, although he mean-looked us and Shadow Balled us, and we then stay asleep. Another Shadow Ball brings us to KO range, but I cannot switch out, so I cross my fingers, and we finally wake up to take him down. Whew. From there though, since his hunters have lower defense, a Pursuit each takes them down and wins us the 4th badge. Let's go. Heading west, we go through Route 38, and I'm actually going to skip our encounter here using a Repel for a particular reason. At the end of the route, we run into Baoba, who will unlock the Safari Zone for us, quite important for later on. On Route 39, we can finally pick up our next encounter, this time a Magnemite, which I catch and nickname Manowar. Manowar has a naive plus speed and minus special defense nature, and plus speed is great for a Magnemite. Just let the sick Pokemon go. Alright, easy there, Edgelord. My guy sounded like Kylo Ren out here. You've been to Kanto already? Wait, why does she ask this? No, we haven't, and Ethan hasn't canonically been to Kanto already either, so I'm just confused. Oh hey, Cameron the photographer. Let's take a team photo. No. With a little training under his belt, Manowar evolves into a Magneton, and unfortunately there is no way to evolve this thing into a Magnezone in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which is one of its brutal flaws, but we'll make do. A long trip across the ocean brings us to Cianwood City where the next gym is, and although it is a fighting gym, quite a terrifying prospect for a steel team, Cooper isn't weak to fighting and he has great defense, so slashing through the trainers wasn't too big an issue. The 5th gym leader is Chuck, the fighting expert, and, well, the only solution here I think is fairly simple. He leads with a Primeape and I get Judah out there. Primeape's only good move against us is Focus Punch, which requires a turn of charging, which means super effective stab 90 power Zen Headbutt can hit him to the red, disrupt his attack, and then after he heals, we can hit 2 more to get that done and over with. In comes Poliwrath next, and Surf is a bit of a threat, but he went for Body Slam first, and no paralysis, so Zen Headbutt brings him below half before his berry. Surf then hits us and brings us below half, and another Zen Headbutt gets a crit to KO. Damn, only a crit Surf or Body Slam paralysis could have been a threat from there anyway, so not too threatening overall. I know a person who'd appreciate a red scale. Who? I can't remember. What? Well, thanks, Mr. Gate Guardian, for your fantastic help. Hitting up the Lake of Rage, we can pick up one of the best items in the game, the Choice Specs, and it's not too long before we can try it out as we encounter the shiny Gyarados. Wait, can we reset to get an unshiny version of it? Is that like a 1 in 8,192 chance too? Well, I guess we'll never find out as a Choice Specs 4x damage stab mere Thundershock from Manowar fries that fish. Wowza. Wait just a minute. Aha, being able to finally confront Lance with a Pokemon more intimidating than his Dragonite feels so good. Who's the alpha now? Flying back to Goldenrod, I realized we can pick something great up, as now the Drawing Center has the Flash Cannon TM. Not only that, but I finally committed to the Voltorb Flip Grind and could pick up the Thunderbolt and Swords Dance TMs along with the Metronome to boost consecutively used moves. Oh, here we go again. Sheesh. It hurts to watch every time. Are you okay, my dude? Oh, that guy's Dragon-type Pokemon are tough. Well, geez, I mean, so are you. You just took a Hyper Beam to the face and lived to tell about it. Alright, in the Rocket Hideout in Mahogany, we, somehow ended up in this situation? Dig versus Dig, Steelix versus Steelix? Yup, don't ask how.
Surprise, mother.
In here, we can also find the Thief TM to get type boosting items off wild Pokemon, but we already have a consistent way of getting Metal Coats, but I suppose this could be handy for our part Bug and Ground types, along with others later. At the end of the hideout, we have a double battle with Lance against Ariana and a Grunt, and boy oh boy do Judah's benefits ever not stop, as Clear Body prevents her lead Arbok's Intimidate from working, and we can annihilate 3 of her 5 Pokemon with super effective Zen Headbutt, and with Dragonite's help also take down their Murkrow and Drowsy with Iron Head. I think Lance might be getting a bit nervous about her improvement trajectory. Well, what good is a giant metal snake if you can't use it to systematically slaughter a bunch of Electro to save the world, am I right? It's time for the Mahogany Gym, and in here I had Manowar go absolutely nuts with Flash Cannon against their ice types like Jinx, and even their part water types of course fall under a coverage spell too. The 6th gym leader is Price, who I'm taking on first because his level cap is 1 lower than Jasmine's. He leads with a Seal, and I get Manowar out there to start, immediately taking it down with a Choice Specs Thunderbolt. As planned, this then baits in his Piloswine, for which I now send in Cooper, who's not weak to ground due to his part bug type. And it's a back and forth between Metal Claw and Hail or Mud Bomb, and Cooper emerges the victor, only taking 40% damage in the end. In comes his final Pokemon, a Dugong, and this is an easy switch back into Manowar to tank Aurora Beam, then respond with the Stab super effective Choice Specs boosted 95 power Thunderbolt for the win and our 6th badge. Shortly after, we get a call that the Safari Zone is now open, but that's going to be a destination for later on. With nothing to stop us, we can now break into the next gym in Olivine City, where the 7th gym leader and our Steel-type arch nemesis Jasmine is ready for battle. I'm waiting to evolve Pineco until he learns Gyro Ball by level up, but we have a perfect counter to her whole team in Maiden. Not only can we not get paralyzed by Thunder Wave, but after getting hit by a Sonic Boom, I can use our newly learned Rock Polish to ensure we outspeed her whole team, then destroy her Magnemite with Dig. In comes her own Steelix, but because she doesn't have any ground moves, it's just a back and forth Dig versus Iron Tail after she lowered our defense, and our Snaky Gal is the winner in the end, being brought to a quarter at one point due to her healing, but our Berry pulled us through. Then her final Magnemite suffered a terrible fate at the hands of Maiden as well, winning us our 7th badge. Alright, it's time for you guys to decide. Which Pokemon looks cooler by my side with the Rocket uniform on? Is it Scizor? Maybe Steelix? Or how about Metang? You guys let me know in the comments. The director, he's on the 5th floor.
Liar!
That's right, we were completely duped by that girl, as the director is just Petrol in disguise. Now throughout all of our runs, we've been searching for the perfect counter to his exploding coughings and wheezings as he's killed our Mons in the past, but I think we found him, as not only is he immune to poison, resistant to self-destruct, and has Stab super effective Zen Headbutt, but they can't even use Smokescreen to lower our accuracy due to Judah's Clear Body. We finally found him, the one. In the basement, we run into Silver again, and this time he's got quite the upgraded team. It took a while to prepare for this one, as between him having ways to confuse us, his Magnapole, Sonic Boom Magnemite, and his Mean Look and Curse Haunter now, it's quite complicated to think of a way to get through all that. He leads with a Golbat this time, so I get Maiden out there. He missed his Air Cutter, so we get a Rock Polish off, and then he confuses us. But I had attached a Persimberry, so Rock Throw then nails him below half. He then just Air Cutters again, so another attack takes him down with us not confused. Thank goodness, as we baited his Quilava in, but thankfully in this battle it only has a physical fire move, Flame Charge, and he just used Smokescreen, so one dig takes him down. Nice. Sneasel then had no way to hurt us really, so 2 Rock Throws did the job, and then in comes his Haunter. I don't want to get Mean Looked and Cursed here due to our low accuracy combined with already low accuracy Rock Throw as our only way to hit him, so I go into Manowar, but Shadow Ball does huge damage to a third with a critical hit. Why? I switch into Judah now, and Shadow Ball does a third. Then we miss our next attack, so he hits us low, but we finally land a Zen Headbutt to end him on the next turn. But this means his final Pokemon, Magnemite, we cannot escape from due to Magnet Pull. We need to hit both Zen Headbutts as Sonic Boom does 20 HP damage, but we get a critical hit on the first anyway to win the battle. Alrighty then, I will take that. Near the top of the radio tower, we have a final battle with Ariana, and Judah is of course the perfect lead. Cancelling out Arbok's Intimidate and responding with a stab super effective attack for the immediate one-hit KO. In comes Murkrow next, and Ironhead hits it low before Nightshade brings us to half. Then I can priority Bullet Punch it to knock it out from there. Her final Pokemon is a Vileplume, and here I can safely Zen Headbutt her into the red, then Bullet Punch her to finish her off for good measure. But it's time for the final rocket battle. Admin Archer and his team with a Houndour and Houndoom is terrifying, but we have one saving grace. Both of them only have Fire Fang, a physical move. If I'm honest, them having Flamethrower might have just ended us hands down. But with Maiden's Unreal Defense, we tank Fire Fang well from Houndour and no burn, so I can Rock Polish, and now that we outspeed, can Rock Polish again before another Fire Fang hits us, and no burn again, so a Dig Out speed then does the trick. I had a Rostberry on Maiden anyway, so even with one burn, we had this in the bag. As in comes Houndoom next, and with 2 Rock Polishes under our belt, we outspeed even it for the one-hit KO. His final Pokemon is a mere Coughing, so a switch into Manowar with a Choice Specs Thunderbolt finished off Team Rocket for good. Our adventure next brings us to the Ice Path, and oh man, Steelix looks furious trying to navigate around while slipping on the ice. Oh, wait, he's enjoying this? Yeah, your terrifying face is a bit deceiving, buddy. Grabbing the Nevermelt Ice along the way, we arrive at the final gym location, Blackthorn City. Before anything, I head over to the Move Tutor House, as we have some great upgrades that we can get, such as the 3 Elemental Fang moves on Maiden. Heading south to the oft-forgotten yet beautiful Route 45, we can finally grab a new encounter, a SoulSilver exclusive in fact, Skarmory, which I catch and nickname Lincoln. Lincoln has a calm nature, minus attack and plus special defense, half good and half bad. Or should I say half bad and half good. Hitting up the Blackthorn City Gym, dragons are a bit of a complicated type for us offensively, but defensively we do resist them. Regardless, the trainers were easy enough at least, as Manowar could Choice Specs Flash Cannon his way through the dragons and even the Seadras despite being resisted. That is some power. The 8th and final gym leader is Clair, the Dragon Specialist, and it took a lot of thinking to see how this would be possible, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's no clear answer. But I came up with an interesting plan. She leads with an Intimidate Gyarados, and I lead with our newly caught Lincoln. Looks weird, I know, but my plan is not actually to hurt him. It's to merely act as a wall and set up spikes. Unfortunately, Gyarados does have Dragon Rage, so it can do a set amount of damage to us, more than it would normally be able to do, but at least we know its max damage output to the HP point, and with the help of Roost to restore our health and our berry which comes in clutch, we can not only get all 3 layers of spikes up, but also stall out all 10 of her Dragon Rage power points. Once I know that we've done so, I then switch in Maiden, who is no longer at risk of taking hardly any damage with Dragon Rage out of the equation as she has no water moves. Now we can freely set up Sandstorm, with the Smooth Rock attached that I got from the Pokewalker to extend its duration. From here, I get Manowar out there who tanks a Twister and devastates her with a Thunderbolt after I mistakenly used Flash Cannon at first. Whoops. In comes Dragonair next with Fire Blast, but after the triple spike damage, Flash Cannon eviscerates it immediately. Nice. But in comes Kingdra next. The spikes hurt it hard, and then it hits us with Hydro Pump, and Manowar survives on just 7 HP in the red, a bit closer than I thought, before Thunderbolt almost brings her to the red, but her berry helps and she's left below half after Sandstorm. We're in a bit of trouble here as nothing can safely tank Hydro Pumps repeatedly, but I decided to go in with Lincoln, and she went for Dragon Pulse because we were in KO range. But at this moment I realized I forgot to teach Lincoln Fly as she missed Hydro Pump and Air Cutter does hardly anything. She then missed her next one though, and I'm desperately hoping for our high crit ratio to pull through, but it doesn't as she fully heals. Oh no. She eventually hits another Hydro Pump though, and we survive on 30 HP. I have to switch now, so I go into Cooper knowing she no longer has Hydro Pump power points, and she had gone for Hyper Beam, so I hit a Slash followed by a U-turn after she hit us to half with Dragon Pulse, which gets the KO. Not only that, but we can now switch into any Pokemon we choose, and I go into Manowar to take on her final Dragonair, and just like the last one, she succumbs to a Flash Cannon after Spikes damage. Well, would have been a lot more manageable with Fly, but I feel we improvised well regardless. All 8 badges acquired. With the level cap finally high enough and Motley learning Gyro Ball, we can finally let him evolve into a tanky Fortress, and I cannot wait to use this thing. Up next is one of the biggest challenges in the game, the 5 consecutive Kimono Girl battles, but we have a great answer in the form of Manowar, with our plus speed nature coming in clutch here. And because they're 5 different battles, choice specs doesn't really matter, as we can choose a new move on each one. For Umbreon, I made sure not to go for Thunderbolt though, as if we paralyzed it, we'd get synchronized paralyzed ourselves, so 2 Flash Cannons did her in. From there, Espeon hit a Psychic but went down to a single Thunderbolt, Flareon suffered the same fate, and like an idiot I accidentally went for Flash Cannon instead of Tri-Attack on Jolteon, but it couldn't have hurt us much anyway. And finally, their Vaporeon, well, I'm sure you could guess. With it all said and done, we were left with 69 HP. Nice. I knew it was a fateful run. On Route 27 we can grab the Sandstorm TM from this nice lady in one of the houses, and making our way through, I forgot just how beautiful the Tojo Falls were, as I often don't come to this section of the cave. Victory Road is upon us, the penultimate test, except there's no trainers this time around until the end. Along the way we find the Earthquake TM, which should come in very handy, and at the end our rival Silver awaits for one last battle with him. He leads with a Sneasel, as I actually get our newly evolved Motley out for the first time. Motley absolutely walls him, so I get 3 layers of spikes up with him before then switching into Maiden. Here I get up a Sandstorm, then get 2 Rock Polishes off, but then he had used Icy Wind to drop our speed, so I had to get a 3rd one off before then nailing him with a Dig KO. Now comes the big threat, his fully evolved Typhlosion, and this time around he has Lava Plume. But Maiden and Rock Polish save the day with the outspeed Dig KO after both Sandstorm and Spikes damage. Thank God for Rock Polish, as he could have swept our entire team easily otherwise. In comes Haunter next, and with Ice Fang I decide to tank it out here as I know it'll be a 2-hit KO, and we got a flinch on the first one too. Nice. Maiden then goes on an absolute rampage through the rest of his team, Dig KOing his Kadabra, duking it out with his Golbat through confusion now that we have Ice Fang, and taking down his Magneton with Dig as well. Poor Silver. Imagine having to face a Steelix like that with his team. Well, we've arrived. The final destination, the Indigo Plateau Pokemon League, the crown of both the Kanto and Johto regions. While trading up for it, we have a final evolution as Judah evolves into a monster Metagross, and I can't wait to see what this thing's capable of. After fulfilling the rest of our EVs and getting any remaining items and TMs that we might need, it's time for the Elite Four. The first Elite Four member is Will, the Psychic-type trainer, and although we might look to have an obvious answer, his Zatus do pose a bit of a problem, although thankfully Cooper learned Night Slash right before the level cap, who I lead with. I go with Agility to start in case we need it, then Psychic hits us not very hard. I then go for Night Slash, but it turns out my calcs were wrong apparently, as we don't KO on a Sliver. Uh-oh. Regardless, after one more Psychic and him healing, we can land 2 in a row to finish him off. Now, with our Agility in effect, we can outspeed his Jinx too, crushing it with a stab super effective X-Scissor. And the same then goes for his Executor and even his Slowbro too. His final Pokemon is another Xatu, and of course it survives Night Slash on an even smaller Sliver, and lands 1 Psychic to bring us below half before another one wins us the battle. Even if the Xatu had confused us, I had attached a Persim Berry, so I think it was a pretty safe battle either way. The second Elite Four member is Koga, the Poison-type expert and former gym leader himself. With a Steel team, I'm feeling pretty good about this one, but he does have a few tricks up his sleeve. He leads with an Ariados, as I get Maiden out there with the Charcoal item attached. He hits a Giga Drain before I get the Rock Polish off, then nail him with Fire Fang, but it barely doesn't KO, so we get hit with another Giga Drain, which actually prevents him from healing, so another one takes him down. In comes Fortress next, and this is the main reason we needed Fire Fang, as it's the only way we can remotely do any damage to him, as a few of them KO him after he had healed up. Next up, Venomoth, who misses it supersonic, amazing, so 1 Fire Fang does the job. His second last Pokemon is Crobat, and the only thing it can really do is double team, as we either resist or are immune into all of his attacks. And amazingly, we got the freeze early on, so a few Ice Fangs then finish him off. His final Pokemon is Muck, and let me tell you, this was an enraging battle as he kept using Minimize even though he had literally nothing in his moveset that can damage us. So I spent 3 minutes clicking Dig until the battle ended. Solid so far. The third Elite Four member is Bruno, the fighting specialist, and here's where things get dangerous for a Steel team. He leads with a Hitmontop, and I get Judah on the field. Knowing he's going to go for Dig, I take the opportunity to use Iron Defense, then I can get another one off while he's underground, before he hits us for almost no damage now. A crit would still be dangerous though, so I nail him with a stab super effective Twisted Spoon boosted Zen Headbutt to knock him out. In comes Onix next, so I go for Iron Head right away hoping for the flinch, but we don't get it and he lands an Earthquake, but with his abysmal attack and our +4 defense it hardly does anything as we take him down with another. As for his Hitmonlee, well, this was a pivotal moment in the battle. He uses Swagger on us, and if we hit ourselves right here, well, this might have not gone well, but we don't and take him down in one attack, and then when his Hitmonchan came out, we snapped out of confusion, but missed our damn attack so we hit a Fire Punch, but no burn and we can take him out as well. His final Pokemon is Machamp, and because of the Swagger attack boost from Hitmonlee, we can freely outspeed and smash him with the Zen Headbutt one-hit KO as well. Well, that certainly worked in our favor. The last Elite Four member is Karen, the Dark-type trainer, a type that we do resist. She leads with a pesky Umbreon, and I have to be careful as I know we have better options, but she'll definitely send out her Houndoom after we take it down, so I go with our Rock Polish strategy. Fortunately, she doesn't opt to confuse us on either turn, but does go for Double Team. I hit her to half with Dig, and then decide to go for Ice Fang on the next turn to bring her within KO range without triggering the heal. Then, I kid you not, between confusion and misses, this KO took over 4.5 minutes because I purposefully had to stall out until we weren't confused anymore and hit the attack so that when her Houndoom then came in, I could outspeed and decimate it without worrying about confusion. Goodness gracious. In comes her Gengar next, and with it having Levitate, I decide to go into Judah instead, who comes in on a missed Focus Blast. And here, I decide to try something interesting. Repeatedly hit it with Bullet Punch. You see, this Gengar has Destiny Bond, but if I use a priority move only, that means I can always outspeed it. And if she did happen to use it, I could just stop and switch or use Agility, and the plan works flawlessly. In comes her Murkrow next, and to play it safe, I get Manowar out there to tank a feint attack and demolish it with a Thunderbolt. Her final Pokemon is Vileplume, so here I switch in Lincoln, who, despite getting paralyzed, walls that thing entirely with Petal Dance hardly doing anything, and eventually we get the Sharp Beak boosted Fly through paralysis to win us the battle. Let's go. Well, it's time. The final battle, the champion of both the Kanto and Johto regions, Lance the Dragon Master. After theory crafting for a while, I think we do have a shot at this, as Steel does resist Dragon, but he does have a bunch of fire moves and a Charizard after all. He leads with a Gyarados, and my only option here is to just go straight for the kill with Manowar, who outspeeds thanks to our nature. This then baits in the Charizard, who I made sure to calculate we could also outspeed, and I nail him with a Thunderbolt too, but he survives in the red somehow and hits a single Fire Fang to devastate Manowar instantly. What the hell just happened? I was sure that we would KO there. Now what? Knowing he'd heal, I send in Lincoln and go for the Fly, and thankfully he only has physical fire moves, so Fire Fang does a bit more than a third before another Fly brings him below half. There's nothing I can really do here as I need all our other Pokemon in good shape, so I stay in. And Link survives on just 6 HP before our Berry gets up in the air and lands the final Fly to take out that huge threat. Unbelievable. In comes Aerodactyl next, which doesn't have a ton of offensive capability against us, so I switch in Maiden here. This gives us a free opportunity to get Rock Polishes off, and eventually I get the Sandstorm up too, as we'll need the residual damage, then can smash him with 2 Ice Fangs for the KO, taking less than half damage in the process. And as I thought, in comes his level 50 Dragonite with Fire Blast, and I have no choice as we outspeed and land the 4 times damage Ice Fang, but it's not enough and he obliterates Maiden. Rest in peace, my dear friend. A miss on the Fire Blast there would have been huge for us, but nope, it was not meant to be. Here I send in Judah though, and go for Bullet Punch to avoid the full restore range, and we do indeed take a Fire Blast on 50 HP, and the Sandstorm damage looks to have put him in range, but Bullet Punch barely doesn't KO, but because we were in KO range, his move selection is random, and he hits an Outrage that we survive on 5 HP, and the damn Sandstorm still doesn't take that thing down, but a final priority Bullet Punch outspeed does it. Holy. In comes another Dragonite, and without them having fire moves anymore, I execute Order 66 by sending out the almighty Motley. Thunder is a bit of a threat, but we tank it well, and then he paralyzes us with Thunder Wave. But now Gyroball does huge damage and he misses his next one, but we stay paralyzed. Ugh. And then he misses another, and we can make it through this time for the KO. Yes! In comes his final Dragonite, which has even less of an ability to hurt us as he Hyper Beams. Motley eats it up with our berry, then 2 Gyro Balls while he recharges, ends the war. Wow, we've done it! We became the champion of the 2 regions with only Steel types, and what a wild finish that was. But we're not done yet. An even bigger challenge lies ahead. Back at the lab, Elm gives us the SS ticket, and then we head to the Olivine port where Oak upgrades our decks to the national mode. But before we leave, a new encounter in Johto has now opened up, as we can hit up the Safari Zone now that we've gotten the upgrades and blocks, as we can use the area switch to turn one of the areas into the Meadow biome. Post national decks, we could either get a Riolu or an Aeron, and for our purposes, I'm going to go with Riolu, who I nicknamed Ram, and who has a modest nature plus special attack and minus attack. Amazing, as we need a special attacker badly. With much love and care, Ram eventually evolves into a Lucario, giving us some wicked coverage, and even more as I use the move tutor to teach him both Aura Sphere and Dark Pulse. Hopping on the SS Aqua, we can then take the journey to the Kanto region, as we arrive in Vermilion City for some nostalgia overload. As I'm sure you're aware by now, the gym leaders in Kanto are relatively easy at this point with a fully EV trained team, but you do have to be careful. Although for Lieutenant Surge, for instance, I could get Judah out there, prevent Thunderwave paralysis with our Cherry Berry, use agility, and then outspeed and slam every single one of his team members with an Earthquake. This strat also worked for Blaine, who would have been a big problem otherwise. In Celadon, Erica was also easily handled with Lincoln, who could hardly get hurt by her entire team, steadily picking them off one by one with Fly. Eventually we get to Lavender Town, which actually has a key development for us, as in the radio tower we can get our Pokegear upgraded. This means we can now use what's called the Sinnoh Sound radio channel, which activates new encounters in old areas such as the Dark Cave. Who would have thought an encounter was waiting at the start of the game this whole time, as here we can get a Bronzor, which I nicknamed Megadeth, and who has a quirky neutral nature, perfect, and the heat-proof ability to lower the power of fire moves too. Yes, that's what we've needed this whole time. There is another encounter that we could get, Mawile, a SoulSilver exclusive, but it depends on the swarm migrations, which I wasn't getting. Mawile was the reason that I skipped the Magnemite encounter on Route 38 and got it on 39 instead, but it wasn't meant to be after all. After some training, Megadeth evolves into a monstrously bulky Bronzong, which I cannot wait to use. Oh, and might I just say, what we did to Brock was just rude. Choice Spec's modest Lucario with Aura Sphere to eviscerate his entire team. Too good. Well, it's time for our final destination, the perilous Mount Silver. Notably, on the side of the mountain we can get the Stealth Rock TM, and in one of the caves we also get the Expert Belt. Amazing. Before reaching the top, I make sure to teach Megadeth both the Light Screen and Reflect TMs and continue onward. As we emerge on the summit of Mount Silver, a lone figure stands up ahead. That's right, the former champion who abandoned society, Red. With no words necessary, let's do battle. Red leads with his ridiculous level 88 Pikachu, and I send Megadeth out to start. He rams us with a Light Ball Volt Tackle to over half already, and paralyzes. No. But we do get the Reflect up. Now what? Well, I was going to get the Stealth Rock up, but now I go for Light Screen, and he smashes us again to just 12 HP, and we stay paralyzed, and then the Hail takes Megadeth down. Not a good start at all. Here, I send in Judah with the Expert Belt and go for Agility, as Thunderbolt doesn't quite do half. Now that we outspeed, I can land the Earthquake to take that damn thing down. As planned, this baits out the Charizard, and with Agility in effect, we now outspeed, and I taunt Judah 4 times damage Rock Slide, which smashes Charizard into the ground. Well, that's a big threat eliminated. In comes Blastoise next, and in the end, I decide to stay in with Zen Headbutt, but we miss it, and then he lands a Focus Blast of all things. Are you kidding me? But we survive on just 15 HP after Hail, and I have no other choice, so I go for another, and we hit him to half before he hits another Focus Blast somehow to knock out our starter. Ouch, not what I had planned. From here though, I can get Cooper out to tank a Focus Blast and land an X-Scissor, and it barely doesn't KO, but the Hail finishes him. close one. In comes Lapras next, and I decide to land one Iron Head before getting hit by Brine. From here, I can now switch in Ram to tank another Brine with ease and then respawn with the Stab super effective Aura Sphere KO. Fortunately, Snorlax comes in next, giving us a good matchup, as Aura Sphere does huge damage on it and then he just lands a Blizzard before we can smash him with a few more after he heals, being left on a third in the end. In comes his final Pokemon, his Venusaur, and with Judah gone, we have to go with one of our two Pokemon who 4 times resist Grass, and I end up going with Motley. Between getting put to sleep and Red healing him, this back and forth took exactly 5 minutes, with Motley eventually emerging the victor with the help of Bug Bite, being left below half at the conclusion. Well, we did it. We beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon SoulSilver with only Steel types, and it was a wild and really fun adventure. Probably up there as one of my favorites with some unique encounters and strategies for sure. MVP goes to our late maiden, the Steelix, as she made many parts of this run possible that otherwise would not have been. As always, make sure to subscribe to join the Sylph Army and help get us to 250,000, and I'll see you guys next time for another challenge video.